It is now 5 p.m. on Tuesday, February 17th, 2026. This meeting of the Killeen Independent School District Board of Trustees is now called to order. The following trustees are present and participating: Brenda Adams, Secretary; Marvin Rainwater, Board Member; Oliver Mintz, Board Member; Tina Capito, Board Member; Rodney Gilchrist, Board Member; and me, Brett Williams, President and Presiding Officer. Absent and not participating in this meeting is Vice President Susan Jones. For the record, a quorum has been established and is present. A recording of this meeting is being made and will be available to the public at a later date. We're also streaming this meeting on our cable channel 17 and on the district's webpage. As a reminder, anyone wishing to speak at public forum must submit their sign-up sheet at this time. Agenda item number 1, public forum. The board will now hear comments from those who've signed up to speak. Per board policy, each public comment is limited to 3 minutes. I will ask the audience to please refrain from any public outbursts and to maintain decorum. Parents, employees, and citizens are encouraged to utilize the district's grievance process to the fullest extent possible. Related policies are available on the district's website or upon request. Okay. First, we have David Laws. In accordance with Texas Government Code Section 551.007D of the Texas Open Meetings Act, Mr. Laws will be given twice the amount of speaking time as a member of the public who does not require the assistance of a translator. Welcome, sir.
Killeen. Greetings all. SB 11 requires school boards to, quote, vote on whether to adopt a policy to provide students and employees with an opportunity to participate in a period of prayer and reading of the Bible or other religious texts each school day, unquote. From the ACLU, Texas students already have the right to voluntarily pray and read religious literature. However, these prayer periods would be organized by the school and could involve or be led by school staff, and could take place during the school day. Under this bill, teachers will be allowed to encourage students to pray or not to pray, and parents who do not want their children to participate will have to submit a waiver. I offer 2 alternatives to the staff-led, school-sponsored religion. 1, let's make it student-led, either before or after school. Staff supervised, maybe, but not staff-led or encouraged. 2, offer an elective, an academic study of world religions. The students, parents, and guardians then have the explicit option to take or allow the taking of this class or not, as they see fit. It's then no longer a forced opt-out. Signing a waiver to keep the children, my grandchildren, out of sponsored period of indoctrination, as you can tell, I disagree with this. I should have to sign a waiver to include them in a period of yes, and it is indoctrination, not to opt out of it. Make no mistake, this is indoctrination and a backdoor way of trying to avoid violating the First Amendment to the United States Constitution. Paraphrasing part of that is, there will be no state-sponsored religion. Forcing the reading of the Bible, and I'll ask you which version of it, or other religious texts in a non-academic course setting, is forcing the government's version of religion upon the children. If I want my children to be educated, indoctrinated, or otherwise introduced to a religion, I will do it. Not their teachers, not their instructors, and absolutely not the state of Texas. Thank you all.
Thank you. Next, we have Will Marie Nieves. Welcome.
Hi. Okay, I'm a little nervous. Good evening, Board President and Trustee. My name is Wilmari Nieves, and I'm a parent of a child here, actually three children in KISD, and I'm here to raise a general policy concern regarding coach conduct, appropriate language, and student-athlete emotional safety, as well as show my support for SB 11. In any district athletic program, coaches are leaders and role models, and the words used to talk to students matter, especially in high-pressure environments. And KISD's own athletic handbook sets that tone clearly. It states that athletics aims to demonstrate the highest ideals of sportsmanship and ethics, and to provide an environment where students develop physically, mentally, and emotionally. It also says that participants and coaches should treat others with dignity and respect, and that coaches are responsible for reviewing sportsmanlike and acceptable standards and always demonstrating them in their role as coaches. This aligns with UIL expectations as well. UIL athletic code states, and it carries the force of the rule and emphasizes playing with fairness in sportsmanship and coaching without unethical tactics that detract from educational principles. In other words, what happens in athletics is not just about winning, it's part of their education. So my request tonight, it's not about a single situation, but it's about a district-wide clarity and consistency, because consistency is what protects students. I'm asking the board to consider placing coach language standards and sportsmanship expectations on a future agenda with clear district direction on three things. First, plain written standard that prohibits profane, degrading, humiliating, or any slurs towards athletes or students at practices, gyms, games, buses, locker rooms, at any sanctioned school event. Students deserve both physical and emotional safety, and that should be a non-negotiable expectation across every campus and every program. Second, training and accountability that matches the standard annual required training for all coaches on professional communication, sportsmanship, and student-centered coaching. Third, transparency for families and students, a clear reporting pathway that parents and students can understand. The handbook already describes a problem-solving chain of communication and appeal in athletics, and I'm simply asking the board that the district make the standards and reporting process equally clear when it comes to coach language and conduct. Students will remember how adults spoke to them long after they forget the score. And if you only have written policy without enforcing it, then it only is a suggestion. We should never require a child to tolerate disrespect, humiliation in order to participate in school athletics. Thank you very much for your time, and I appreciate the board's role in setting the tone for this district.
Thank you. Next, we have David Santiago Ortiz. Welcome.
Well, thank you. So before I begin, I would like to begin with a short prayer. Lord, please give me the wisdom and the courage and the peace as I speak for our children. Amen. Good evening, Board President and trustees. My name is David Santiago, and I'm a parent in KISD. I'm here as a dad. I care about our students' safety, not only bodies, but about feelings and mental health. Here I'm to talk about a district-wide problem, how coaches talk to students, and how we protect student athletes. School sports should help kids grow. Sports should teach teamwork, discipline, and confidence. That can only happen when coaches lead with respect. When a coach uses mean, insulting, and shameful words, it can hurt students. It can make them feel scared, nervous, or embarrassed. Some kids stop trying. Some kids stop loving the sport they so much practice. And when adults act like disrespect is normal, kids learn to accept it. That is not okay in KISD and nowhere in this country. KISD has rules to keep students safe. UIL expect good sportsmanship. Texas educators' rules say adults must act professionally with kids. These rules should be followed everywhere. Here is what I'm asking the board to do. First, make a clear rule and enforce it, that coaches cannot use profanity, insult, humiliating words, or gender-based slurs with students and practice games, travels, or other school events. Students deserve respect. Second, require training every year for all coaches about respectful communication, sportsmanship, and students' emotional safety. Also, coaches sign that they understand the rules each season. Third, improve communication. Parents and students need a clear way to report problems and clear time for when they will get a response. Families should not feel ignored. Please put this on a future agenda. Coach conduct, sportsmanship, and adult-student athlete is emotional safety. Kids should leave school sports feeling stronger, not scared, ashamed, or stressed. I would also like to show my support for SB 11. It is very important that we allow our kids a safe space so they can practice their beliefs, their religious belief. I can attest as a parent, as a Christian parent, that my kids are well-mannered, are well-behaved, because we allow them to read the Bible and we allow them to pray anywhere they can, and they should be allowed a time to do it at school too. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next, we have Sharina Blett. Welcome.
All right. First, I would like to thank God for allowing me to be here and to be able to speak. Good evening, board members and trustees. My name is Sharina Blett. I take it seriously speaking up for those that can't speak for ourselves. They're kids. Our children are important, and I will not stand silent while they are being hurt. Tonight, I'm sharing a general policy concern about how coaches and teachers act towards coaches' use and how we protect students, athletes, emotional safety across our district. Coaches have real power over students. It's not only about playing time, it also affects students' confidence, motivation, and whether they want to return or feel safe on the field. Whether it's in the field or the gym, we need to make sure that we're setting a good example. Words from adults matter. When students are talked to in a way that is mean, humiliating, or threatening, it doesn't make them stronger. It creates fear and shame, and it teaches kids that disrespect is normal. Some students stop trying, some students stop speaking up, some students stop loving the sport. That is real harm. That is not what school sports should be or that we want it to be. KISD has rules to protect students and keep schools safe. Texas educators also have athletic rules that say students must be treated with dignity and that adults should not harm a student's well-being. So my request is simple. I'm asking the school board to make sure that the district's expectations are clear and the same for every campus and an actual enforcement in every athletic program. I'm also asking for clear steps for families. Parents, students need to know where to report concerns, what happens after your report is made, and how long it will take to get a response, and how the district will stop this problem from happening again. When communication breaks down and families feel ignored and problems grow in silence. So tonight, I respectfully ask the board to place this item on future agendas. Coach language, standards, sportsmanship, expectations, student-athlete emotional safety. I'm asking for district-wide training for coaches and easy report process, consistent accountability and clear communications with families when decisions affect students' safety and supervision. Thank you for your time. I also would like to show support as a Christian mother. I have had my kids in KISD, and they were shameful for bringing a Bible to school, and so I would like for them to be able to speak freely and not to be ashamed to be a Christian or to show love for the God that's done so much for us and our family. That's all.
Thank you. Okay, next we have Andre Stinson. Welcome, young man.
Thank you. My name is Andre Stinson. I am a 5th grade student at Willow Springs Elementary. Thank you, Dr. Davis and the KISD board for taking time to listen to me speak about my education and the Communion in Schools program at my campus. The reason I like Communions in Schools program with Ms. Cinnamon is because in Communions in Schools, she helps us with our science, math, and spelling. We have competition with our classmates to make us stronger with our education. We win prizes and get snacks. She makes sure that we know our education. We know our education, so we have a better opportunities in life. When I go to middle school, I want to play sports. I know I must have good grades. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Next, we have Zoe Ender.
Hey, Mr. Harper, would you? Oh,
Let's,
he got it.
can we have her maybe step to the side so she could set the microphone on that edge so we can see her? Yeah, we can set it on that edge. Welcome.
My name is Zoe Ender, and I am a fifth grade student at Willow Springs Elementary School in Killeen, Texas. Thank you, Dr. Davis at the KISD board, for taking time to listen to me speak about my education and the Communities in School program at my campus. School is great, and I like the Communities in School program because I learn more almost every day in school. Communities in School is a good program because it gives more education. Communities in School makes me interested in coming to school because I'm learning more than what the teachers are teaching in one subject for every lesson.
Thank you. Calicia Hudgens. Mr. Harper, will you move that microphone? Did I pronounce your name correctly?
Yes.
Welcome.
Hello, my name is Calicia Hutchings, and today I'm going to talk about communities in school. Communities in school keeps me engaged in, my name is Calicia Hutchings, and I am from Willow Springs Elementary School. And today I'm going to talk about communities in school. Communities in school keeps me engaged in school, and it can make school fun for a person who doesn't really like school. And communities in school also teaches me a lot, and it can make my grades higher, and it encourages me to be good in school. When I grow up, I want to be a doctor. Thank you.
Thank you. Kimberly Torres. Welcome.
Hi. Hi. My name is Kimberly Torres, and I'm in the 5th grade student at Willow Springs Elementary School. Thank you, Mr. Davis and the Killeen board for taking time to listen me speak about my education and community schools program at my campus. I enjoy in school. I would like to have more time to work on my classwork and learn what is given. At times, we are given too much work too quickly, which doesn't give us time to learn everything. I want to be great in school so that I can go to college. I want to talk about communities in school program at Miss Cinnamon's program. First, it helps me stay in school by helping me spell. Second, it helps me get stronger in math. Third, the program helps me stay in school by helping me with science. Fourth, the program helps me practice reading more. Fifth, the program helped me because Miss Cinnamon is available for us. Miss Cinnamon's quizzes on the academies, and we received prizes for our learning.
Thank you. Next, we have Marley J. Perry. Marley J. Perry. My apologies. Welcome.
Hello, my name is Marley J. Perry. Hello, my name is Marley J. Perry from Willow Springs Elementary. Thank you to the KISD School Board, our superintendent, Dr. King Davis, Miss Cinnamon, and my Blue Jay family for allowing me to speak about my school experience. My school year at Willow Springs has been great. I have learned so much. I have learned how to convert fractions into decimals and decimals into fractions. I have learned how Earth's tectonic plates shift and cause rapid changes like earthquakes and volcanoes and mountains. I've also learned about analyzing text details to identify text features, author's purpose, and making all sorts of connections to every story we read. And I have two amazing teachers that help make that happen. Miss Tate and Miss Johnson helped me make achieve all 8 honor roll last semester, continuing with the same goal this semester. I also have so many memories of my amazing Blue Jay family, even on tough days. My teachers and other adults in the building, like our SEL counselor, Miss Frickers, our community service specialist, Miss Cinnamon, my principal, Miss Stewart, our assistant principal, Mr. Dwyer, along with our CIC, my mommy, Miss Selby Perry, soon to be Dr. Selby Perry, are always there to help us understand our emotions and learn how to work through the things together. The connections with my teachers, my friends, and other adults at Willow Springs is what I will miss the most as I leave and go to middle school. I especially enjoy when Miss Cinnamon pulls us for fun activities and teaches us about important life skills. One thing I think we can do to improve next year is working on the no gum policy. I think this is important because chewing gum is such a distraction, and it is quite annoying when other people are trying to work, having to hear people smack gum. So if we could get some posters to put all around the school that says absolutely no gum chewing, that'd be great. That would be a great improvement for Killeen Independent School District. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. As we have no one else signed up for public forum, we are closing public forum and moving to agenda item number 2. The board will now convene in closed session for any combination of the following. Agenda item 2A, consultation with legal counsel regarding Senate Bill 11 as allowed by Texas Government Code 551.071. Agenda item 2B, discussion regarding the deployment of security devices or security personnel as allowed by Texas Government Code 551.076. Agenda item 2C, consultation with legal counsel regarding amendments to local innovation plan as allowed by Texas Government Code 551.071. Agenda item 2D, consultation with the district's legal counsel regarding pending litigation, a settlement offer, or other issues confidential under attorney-client privilege as allowed by Texas Government Code 551.071. Agenda item 2E, deliberate the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property as allowed by Texas Government Code 551.072. And agenda item 2F, deliberate the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer or employee as allowed by Texas Government Code 551.074. And agenda item 2G, deliberate a matter regarding a public school student in which personally identifiable information about the student will necessarily be revealed as allowed by Texas Government Code 551.0821. No voting will take place in closed session. Any action the board wishes to take as a result of discussions in closed session will take place after the board reconvenes in the open meeting. The time is now 5:24 p.m. and we are in closed session. The time is now 6:01 p.m. and we are reconvening from closed session. No action or voting took place in closed session. No action is needed. This meeting of the Killeen Independent School District will resume in accordance with the posted agenda for today's meeting. We'd like to welcome Colonel McClellan. Welcome for always joining us, our garrison commander from Fort Hood. We'd also like to welcome Christine Caparco. There she is, a hand to the sky in the back. There you go. Thanks, we appreciate you. Anyone who did not have an opportunity to speak at public forum at 5 p.m. and wishing to speak now must submit their sign-up sheet at this time. It has been the board's practice before each regular meeting to have invocation and pledges of allegiance to the United States flag and Texas flag. Tonight, the invocation will be led by trustee Marvin Rainwater, and the pledges will be led by students Michael Wright and Araya Wright from Willow Springs Elementary School. Please stand.
Thanks, sir. Go ahead, let's play. I'm going to pray and then let's do that. Is that okay? No drama. It's my fault. Thank you. May we pray. Our Father and our God, we're grateful to be here in a country where we can make decisions about a spiritual life and about prayer and about how that affects our students and our school communities, and how we're always able to, as a board and as a people, try to do what we think's best for each of our students. Help us, Father, make these decisions, and we've had so many difficult times in our school district. We've lost some children, and we've had some horrible events happen. But we know in all these things that your blessing and your arms around us are there. We ask that we rely on them and pray for your guidance and your strength. In Jesus' name, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, and indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Good job.
Thank you. You may be seated. A recording of this meeting is being made and will be available to the public at a later date. We're also streaming this meeting on our cable channel 17 and on the district's webpage. We'll now move to agenda item number 3, honors and recognition. Welcome, Dr. Wilkerson.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the board, and Dr. Davis. Before we begin, a quick reminder, official photos from tonight's honors and recognitions will be available after the meeting at KilleenISD.org/photos. Tonight, we're recognizing students and staff who have represented Killeen ISD with excellence. Thank you for being here to celebrate them. To begin, we are thrilled to recognize, oh, sorry, y'all, come on. I'm just, I'm sorry. I'm filling in for Karen. I know. All right, take 2. Okay, to begin, we are thrilled to recognize an exceptional group of theater students who competed at the Texas Thespian State Festival and qualified for the National Thespies competition this summer. In addition to their national qualifications, KISD students earned more than $1 million in scholarship offers and 268 college callbacks. 1 student received a Disney callback, 2 earned all-state company membership honors, and 1 earned a state thespian office. We are proud to celebrate these shining examples of KISD excellence who are with us tonight. Starting with Chaparral High School, let's celebrate Marley Luther, Ava Morgan, Riley Urush, Anaya Chamberlain, Chavez Dotson, Alexandra Madera, Army Melton, Hadassah Moon, Zachary Rapine, Caitlin Dooley, Kayani Harrell, and Saturn Boldy. Y'all, one more time. Thank you. Next, we have Ellison High School. We have Tatiana White, Camelia Olivias, Taven Boonis, Justin Mages, and Sasha Lauderdale. Let's show them some appreciation. Next, we're bringing Killeen High School, Shoemaker High School, and Harker Heights High School. From Killeen, we have Eliel Santiago, Shoemaker, Adelina Gabrielle, and Harker Heights, we have Charlotte Hughes. Congratulations. Next, we are proud to recognize Samantha Dunaway, Theater Director of Chaparral High School, who was named the Texas Thespian Golden Apple Award by the Educational Theater Association. This is Ms. Dunaway's 15th year in education, and her dedication to student growth is clear in everything she does. Through her leaderships, students experience rigorous, equitable, and inspiring theatrical opportunities that prepare them for success both on and off the stage. We are incredibly proud of Ms. Dunaway and grateful for the excellence she brings to Chaparral High School and to the Killeen ISD Department, Fine Arts Department. Yes, we are.
I gotta get mine too.
Congratulations. Tonight, we are proud to celebrate Career and Technical Education Month and the opportunities CTE creates for students across Killeen ISD. Through rigorous hands-on learning, students build current industry skills, earn college credit and industry certifications, and explore pathways across all 13 career clusters, starting as early as elementary school and continuing with a program of study identified in 8th grade. At our 5 high schools and the KISD Career Center, a state-of-the-art facility built with business and higher education partners, students gain real-world experience through internships, certifications, and career-ready training. We're also proud that Killeen ISD was recently recognized as a CTE District of Distinction, reflecting the strength of our programs and our commitment to preparing students for what comes next. We're happy to have Executive Director Patrice Robertson here tonight to accept this recognition. Tonight, we also want to recognize National School Counseling Week and celebrate the incredible work of our school counselors across Killeen ISD. Our counselors support students academically, socially, and emotionally, helping them set goals, stay on track, and navigate challenges with confidence. They are often the first to listen, the first to respond, and the steady presence students and families count on every day. To all of our counselors, thank you for your care, guidance, and hope you bring to our campuses. We're happy to have our Director for Counseling, Academic Advising, and Planning, Cherise Hampton, here tonight to accept this recognition. And Shannon is with her. Awesome. All right. Thank you. Congratulations. Next, we're recognizing 9 KISD campuses who recently earned statewide recognition for excellence in school counseling, highlighting the district's continued commitment to student support and well-being. Counseling teams from Iduma, Hobby, Eastern Hills, Gateway, Liberty Hill, Ellison, Harker Heights High School, Shoemaker, they all received the 2024-25 CREST Award. CREST is Counselors Reinforcing Excellence for Students in Texas. We are proud to recognize these individuals who have demonstrated strong implementation of a comprehensive school counseling program that is committed to Killeen ISD schools and students. Let's celebrate Iduma School, Tiffany Jackson, Cristalita Fortes, and Megan Gilbert. Ovetta Cup Hobby, we have Christine Beeg, Jessica Baggett, and Christina Miranda. Congratulations. From Eastern Hills, we have Ebony Keys, Shelby Bowles, and Chantel Horner. From sorry. From Gateway Middle School, we have Antion Franklin and Marlene Adams. Good? Okay. There we go. All right. Come on. There you go. Good. All right. From Liberty Hill Middle School, we have Bethany Smith, Cynthia Bailey, and Adriana Shaw. From Ellison High School, we have Rosalind DeCaratry, Cassandra Hodge, Alicia Smith-Douglas, Sarah Noteboom, Amber Peterson, Amy Pico, and Shatilia Brooks.
No one ever greets me that way. Todd does. We go back a ways.
All right. Congratulations. From Gateway High School, we have Elsie Velez and Monique Turner. From Harker Heights High School, we have Maria Garcia, Laura House, Maria Jackson, Warren Kostinsky, Laura Littlejohn, Wendy Perry, Deline Price, and Deidre Picate. Congratulations. And from the opposite side of the district, Shoemaker High School, we have Shanitra Kyle, Kendrick Keys, Tawana Chancellor, Alexandria Hall, Bernadette Hicks, Miriam Hodge Cummings, and Nicola Jones. All right. Shoemaker. Congratulations and thank you for choosing to invest in our students and our campuses. For our final recognition, we would like to recognize Liberty Hill Middle School counselor Cynthia Bailey, who was named the 2025 Rosine Fleming Texas Middle School Counselor of the Year, an honor presented by the Texas School Counselor Association. Y'all, let's give it up for Cynthia. Ms. Bailey is recognized for student-centered support that advances Liberty Hill's academic mission while responding to students' social and emotional needs. This year, when the campus unexpectedly lost a staff member responsible for building the master schedule midsummer, Bailey stepped in and redesigned the schedule to better align with student needs and instructional priorities. She has also expanded support for students through small groups focused on self-esteem and peer connection. She helped create a quieter lunch option for students who need it and connected families to community resources for food, clothing, and shelter. Ms. Bailey also serves as a mentor to new counselors and a leader among her peers. She organizes the campus Student Ambassador Club, serves on the district crisis response team, and helped bring Texas A&M's Youth Aware of Mental Health program to campus for the first time. Let's give it up one more time. Awesome job. Sir, this concludes tonight's honors and recognition.
We'll now move to agenda item number 4, public forum. The board will now hear comments from those who've signed up to speak. Per board policy, each public comment is limited to 3 minutes. I will ask the audience to please refrain from any public outburst and to maintain decorum. Parents, employees, and citizens are encouraged to utilize the district's grievance process to the fullest extent possible. Related policies are available on the district's website or upon request. For the record, we ask that all public forum participants begin by stating their name and the city in which they reside. Once complete, your 3 minutes will begin. Signed up to speak, we have Joseph Baez. Welcome.
Thank you. Joseph Bias from Harker Heights, KISD Community. On today's agenda, you will find Section 6, which is action items for consideration. Action item for consideration 6D is consideration of recommendation of a 2025-2026 Texas Partnership Operating Partner. However, the action item will not be for consideration but for a vote by the KISD School Board of Trustees in order to move forward with an 1882 partnership with Third Future Schools as the operating partner for Maynard Middle School. By the way, consideration is not the same as a vote. While a vote decides the outcome, consideration is the process of reviewing a measure, allowing for discussion, and refining it, which comes before a vote. So why aren't the board and the superintendent being straightforward and making it known that the board will be voting and not considering? The fact is that I do not know the answer, but what I do know is that the board and superintendent do owe the KISD community an honest answer as to why the rush of the vote. They owe us an honest answer because this vote will impact the KISD community and especially affect the KISD staff, parents, and students of Maynard Middle School, not just for 1 year or 2025-2026, which the years are not even accurate as stated in the agenda document, but the contract will impact and affect KISD for 3 years because this vote is for a 3-year contract, 2026 through 2029, and not for a 1-year contract as the 2025-2026 leads us to believe. But don't just take my word that this evening's action is for a vote and not a consideration. Reference slide 6 of this evening's Agenda 6D PowerPoint presentation, which is titled Texas Partnership Charter Authorizing Timeline, and the timeline has today's date for board approval for operating partner February 17th. But why February 17, 2026, which is 1 week earlier than the date indicated not once but twice in the KISD Maynard Middle School turnaround plan? Reference pages 27 and 28. On page 27, under date, the board approved or will vote on approving partnership, it states the Board of Trustees will vote on approving a partnership on February 24, 2026. On page 28, under please describe the proposal approve operating partner's track record of successful school turnaround, it states, in February, the superintendent will bring forward a formal partnership recommendation and host a public hearing on February 10, providing an opportunity for recommended partners to present to the board and community. On February 24th, the board will vote to approve or deny each application and to enter into performance contract negotiations with the approved partners. This you can see for yourself by visiting the KISD website and downloading the Maynard Middle School turnaround plan. So once again, why is the district rushing to vote for today, February 17, and not next week, February 24th? Killeen Independent School District community, just like Spike Lee said in the movie, Do the Right Thing. Wake up. KISD community, I urge you to go online to SpectrumLocalNews.com and see the video and read the article, Wichita Falls ISD Partners with Private Operator to Improve Schools, published 11:30 a.m. Central Time on November 12, 2025. It will open your eyes. Thank you.
Thank you. As we have no one else signed up for public forum, we're closing public forum. We'll now move to agenda item number 5, which is the consent agenda. These 2 items can be approved by one single vote, or an item can be removed and considered individually. A, consideration of a delay of teacher certification requirements. B, consideration of number and dollar amounts of board scholarships to be awarded for fall 2026. You have the consent agenda before you. Madam Secretary.
Mr. President, I move to approve the consent agenda item lettered A and B as written.
We have a motion by Secretary Adams. We have a second by Madam Capito. Any further discussion by trustees? There being none, all those in favor, show of hands. We have 6 in favor, none in opposition, 1 absent and not participating, and Vice President Susan Jones. Consent agenda passes. Thank you. We'll now go to 6 action items for consideration. A, consideration of a resolution to recognize March 2026 as Arts in Our Schools Month in Killeen Independent School District. Welcome, Ms. Davies.
Members of the board, Dr. Davis. Arts in Our Schools Month is a nationwide initiative that was established in 2012 to promote access to arts education, showcase student achievement, promote professional growth for arts educators, and achieve the goal of arts-rich schools for all students. In Killeen ISD, we have much to celebrate. Through the intentional planning of our Board of Trustees and district leadership, along with the strong support of our community, we are proud to offer exceptionally arts-rich schools that ensure all students have access to high-quality arts education. We provide outstanding resources and instructional materials that enable our students to earn state and nationwide recognition year after year. Our programs are recognized and celebrated across the state, reflecting the dedication, expertise, and collaboration of our incredible fine arts educators. And we are deeply grateful for the opportunities and support this remarkable community provides for our students and our programs. And so today, we are honored to welcome several student leaders from our music, art, theater, and dance programs who will read the proposed resolution for Arts in Our Schools Month.
Whereas arts education, dance, music, theater art, and visual art is a critical component of the learning process and develops student creativity, communication, and critical thinking abilities, and
whereas arts education is part of a well-rounded education and a powerful tool to unlock the potential of the whole child, and
Whereas arts education promotes the development
of the social emotional skills in students, and
Whereas arts education gives students a deeper understanding
of sensitivity for cultural values and beliefs,
and
Whereas research indicates that students with more arts education have higher academic achievement across the curriculum, engagement in school, and
whereas our state and national leaders have acknowledged the necessity of including arts experience in all students' education, developing the need for arts-rich schools, and
Whereas Music in Our Schools Month, Youth Art Month, Dance in Our Schools Month, and Theater in Our Schools Month are special opportunities for our community to engage in the ongoing process of arts education,
make connections with arts and other areas of study, and bring a heightened awareness to the importance of arts in education.
Now, therefore, the Board of Trustees of the Killeen Independent School District does hereby resolve that March 2026 will be recognized as Arts in Our Schools Month throughout the district. The school board encourages students, staff, and parents to acknowledge the important role of the arts education in the overall education of our children and to recognize the outstanding work of our fine arts students and teachers.
It is an honor to serve in this incredible district with outstanding support for the arts. Mr. President, we are requesting approval of the resolution to recognize March as Arts in Our Schools Month in Killeen ISD.
Thank you to everyone here. Ms. Davies, your leadership. Trustees, any questions, comments? What's your desire? Madam Capito.
I move to approve the proposed resolution recognizing March 2026 as Arts in Schools Month in Killeen ISD.
We have a motion by Madam Capito. We have a second by Secretary Adams. Any further discussion? All those in favor, show of hands. We have 5 in favor, none in opposition. I'm going to say 2 absent and not participating, and Vice President Susan Jones. Trustee Mintz just stepped out, but he's really not absent, but he's not at the dais, so it'll be a 5-0-2 vote. Thank you. We appreciate you. Keep doing the great work. Well,
Thank you.
okay. So let's recalibrate here. All those in favor, show of hands. We have 6 in favor, none in opposition, 1 absent and not participating, and Vice President Susan Jones. Thank you all once again.
Thank you.
We'll now move to B, consideration of renewal of a resolution to declare a good cause exception for House Bill 3, Armed Security Officer Requirement. Mr. Heckenberg, welcome.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board. As stated, I bring forth a resolution to declare a good cause exemption for House Bill 3, the Armed Service Officer Requirement. Texas Education Code requires at least 1 armed security officer present at each campus during school hours. However, the school board may consider a resolution to claim a good cause exemption to this requirement due to lack of funding or lack of personnel who qualify to serve as a security officer as described in Texas Education Code. As previously discussed in closed session, I ask that you approve the resolution to declare a good cause exemption for House Bill 3.
Questions for Mr. Heckenberg? This is an action item. Trustee Gilchrist.
Mr. President, I move to approve the proposed resolution to declare a good cause exemption for Texas Education Code 37.0814 Armed Security Officer Required as presented.
Mr. President, if I just may make a brief comment on this.
Can we get a motion? I got a motion. Let me get a second, then I'll open it for comments.
Thank you, sir.
Right after that. So we have a motion from Trustee Gilchrist. We have a second by Secretary Adams. Any further discussion? Trustee Mintz.
Thank you, Mr. President. And Mr. Heckenberg, I just want to be, I think, just for the listening public on this, to be clear, this is a requirement, and we are pursuant to it, taking steps to improve safety at our schools. This is not a waiver of any safety requirement. Is that a correct statement?
That is correct.
Thank you, sir.
Any other questions from trustees? So we've got a motion by Trustee Gilchrist and a second by Secretary Adams. With no further dialogue, all those in favor, show of hands. We have 6 in favor, none in opposition, 1 absent and not participating, and Vice President Susan Jones, 601. Thank you, Mr. Heckenberg. We'll now go to item C, consideration of Senate Bill 11, daily prayer time and reading of the Bible or other religious texts. Mr. Harper.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board, Dr. Davis. The 89th Texas Legislature passed Senate Bill 11, which requires that each school board in Texas take a record vote on whether to adopt a resolution regarding a period of prayer and reading of religious texts. If a school board decides to adopt such a resolution, the provision set out in Section 25.083 of the Texas Education Code requires the following restrictions. The district policy must prohibit a student or employee of the district from participating in a daily prayer period unless the employee or a student's parent submits a signed consent form acknowledging the participation is by choice. Secondly, the participant has no objection. And third, the participant expressly waives his or her right to bring a legal claim under state or federal law, including a claim on a violation of the Establishment Clause of the First Amendment of the United States Constitution. The district policy must also ensure that prayer and religious reading is not provided in the physical presence of or within the hearing of a person for whom a signed consent was not submitted. The district policy must specify that a daily period of prayer may not be a substitute for instructional time, and the prayer and religious reading may only be observed in areas where consenting parties are separated from non-consenting parties. I would note, regardless of the vote tonight, state law, federal law, and Killeen ISD board policy already allow students to engage in prayer, reading of religious texts, and religious expression on school property and during the school day. Citing legal authority, board policy FNA legal states, a public school student has an absolute right to individually, voluntarily, and silently pray or meditate in school in a manner that does not disrupt the instructional or other activities of the school. A student shall not be required, encouraged, or coerced to engage in or refrain from such prayer or meditation during any school activity. Following Nothing in the Constitution, as interpreted by the U.S. Supreme Court, prohibits any public school student from voluntarily praying at any time before, during, or after the school day. The administration brings this forward because we need a record vote.
Questions from trustees? A couple of questions, Mr. Harper. I want to make sure I get I want clarification for the public. If the board was to opt to approve, make sure I'm using the right thing, approve this to allow this, any student that participates would have to, I know you stated this, but I want to state it again, they would have to sign a waiver, which would be signed by their parent guardian.
For the students, yes, it would be signed by a parent or guardian, or the employee would sign their own.
Sign a waiver, and then for employees, the employees would sign the waiver. And then in doing so, that would allow that particular group to have a designated area that would be isolated away from anyone else being able to hear it who has not signed a waiver, whether it's a kid or an adult, and then they could have a time of religious prayer, meditation in a defined area within the school during non-instructional time, before school or after school.
That is correct.
Mr. Superintendent, if the board was to go that route and there are 10 students who wanted to do this and there is no adult who has signed or agreed to do it, how do we address that?
Yeah, I would say that as it relates to any other gathering, to think about if our clubs and organizations, we need to have sponsors for obvious reasons as it relates to safety and the gathering, make sure for the safety of those students gathering, we certainly want an adult to be present at such a meeting.
Mr. Harper, you stated that currently students can pray, but currently if a group of students want to get together and pray, they would not be able to do it in the confines of an area that would be secluded from anyone else interrupting or harassing, deterring them from doing it.
As of right now, there would not be a defined space within our schools.
So in doing, if this would be the choice of this board, we would not be forcing any student to participate in prayer, correct?
Correct. They would have to sign a consent and be willingly participating in it. Or their parent or guardian would sign that consent for the student.
And it could be any religion.
Correct.
If there are multiple religions, Pentecostal, Catholic, or whatever, how would we handle that? Would they all have separate areas or individual areas?
The law does not speak specifically to that. It's vague on that. It would be left to the policy that would be adopted by the board eventually. This resolution is, as you see it listed there, shall adopt a policy requiring every campus of Killeen ISD to provide a period of prayer and reading of the Bible or other religious text as provided by the Education Code. So that policy would need to speak to how that would be done. The actual Texas Education Code, section 25.0823, does not speak to whether that's one place or many. Board council could say, it could speak as well, but logistically speaking, it would be up to administration to bring forward a policy to try to figure out that.
Thank you. This is an action item. Any other comments from trustees? My apologies.
Yeah, I think I would just like, just to make a general comment on it. My humble opinion, this is simply an attempt by our legislators in Austin to put school boards in a position where they are forced, let me rephrase that, school board members in a position where they are forced to say, I am for enshrining a child's right to pray in school, or I am against a child's right to pray in school. And I submit to you all, and I submit to anybody that's listening, is that's a complete canard. It is hogwash. The First Amendment enshrines our freedom of speech, freedom of religion, but it's also referred to as the Establishment Clause, preventing an establishment, a state establishment of religion. It is my humble opinion that today, as we sit here, and the folks that came up in public forum, I think I agree with most all of them. But right now, today, as we sit here, our students have the right to pray any place they want, anywhere. It can't disrupt class. They can pray before a test. They can pray before a football game. They can say it under their breath. They can sit in the corner of the cafeteria and have Bible study with those who choose to do it. There is not one thing, nor should there be anything that infringes upon a student's right. Now, the legislators in Austin are trying to put school boards and school board members in a position where we have to say we are for or against it. What I am for is the maximum ability of every person in this nation to exercise their First Amendment rights in the manner and time and place that they see fit. We are attempting here to put constraints on that. We are attempting to make them pray in a room at a certain time when they have the right to do it all right now. This is my 4th year on the board. I've never seen this come up as an issue. I've never heard of anybody being denied the right to pray in the manner and time in which they see fit. And should this board vote to implement this, we are doing the exact opposite that our brilliant leaders in Austin are trying to put us in the position of. And I said that poorly, but it is a terrible, terrible idea to do this. It infringes upon children's and staff members' right to pray, and we should steer far away from this. Thank you.
Any other comments from trustees? Trustee Gilchrist.
Real briefly, as a man of prayer, I'm always for prayer. My religious text reminds me that men ought always to pray and to pray without ceasing. So formalizing prayer, in my opinion, would cause us to infringe upon the rights of individuals to exercise their individual rights to pray as they choose. And the God that I serve doesn't force us to do anything. He allows us to do and to exercise freedoms. And I think that this is a freedom that we need to maintain. So with that, I'll yield.
Any other comments from trustees? Trustee Rainwater.
I pray because I need to pray a lot, and I love the Lord. So I could never do anything. Never. Excuse me, to stop a kid from praying anywhere they want. It makes me so angry to be put in a corner, as Ollie just described, about kind of a horrible thing. I mean, how could we vote to restrict any kid praying anytime about anything? But I think, for some reasons that I don't understand, that our kids and our parents and our students, and there's things that happen every day on campus, the little prayer wouldn't hurt a bit. So it's just so disappointing to be put in this situation. So I'm sorry. But I would never restrict a child's right to pray, or a teacher, or a parent. It's hard to be emotional, but it's just a pile of stuff. Thank you.
Madam Secretary.
Thank you, sir. As a woman of faith, as a former KISD student, I have always exercised my right to pray. As a student, as a staff member, and so if this is something that is already freely given why would we infringe upon students to put it in a box? Prayer is everywhere. Students have a right to pray over their meals, pray over a test, pray for a friend, and there's power in prayer. And so we would never support formalizing something and saying you can only pray right here, because prayer is everywhere. So I would not be in support of a government required, state requirement, I should say, to violate the right for students and staff to pray whenever they choose to, just like I do.
Madam Capito.
I'm not sure that I can say anything better than everyone else has already said, but I too am very much wanting to give every student and staff the opportunity to pray at their leisure when they feel it is most important to them. And I feel like as a school board, we would be doing a disservice not only to our students, but to our staff, and putting requirements on where they can do it, who has to supervise, what faith, all the different scenarios that could come out of that really creates more of, I think, a disruption versus why would you break something that's not broken when it's happening every day and our children and staff are able to freely do it. And so I agree with everything that everyone says, and I'm glad to be on this board with people who believe that.
Trustee Gilchrist.
I would just add this, that we need to, as a board and as a district, ensure that we follow and exercise guidance that would ensure that people are actually able to do that without being it wouldn't be abridged. It would not be offensive for people to pray, that they're not being harassed. You know, some people, it sounded like today earlier in the public forum that some parents were feeling like their kids were being harassed. That needs to be reported, if that is the case, so that, because we have policies in place already to deal with that. We just need to be, that needs to be reported so it can be handled appropriately. So that would be the only thing I would add.
Madam Secretary.
One more thing. I want to speak to the families of our students who already, as the first teachers of our students, find the importance of spiritual guidance and development. They pray at home, and they share with their children when they come to school. They have a right to pray. They have a right to carry their religious text. They have a right and should not be ridiculed, should not be harassed because they carry a Bible or a text. And so we need to make sure that parents hear us loud and clearly that we will not support that kind of negative harassment towards students who choose to exercise their faith and their belief in the way they choose to. So I commend the families, continue. As people of faith, we believe that prayer in school has always been there, and it should always be there. And it's what helps us make it through. It gives kids hope. It gives adults hope that we can make a change and make things better by praying to our God and our faith the way we choose to. So bravo to the families out there.
Yeah, so for me, where this one's tough for me is because of my faith. For me to vote no on giving someone the opportunity to pray, it's not about Brett Williams trying to make someone else pray. It's about Brett Williams' belief that I can't stand behind saying that I think it's bad that some people can come together and pray of any religious background, because that's just hard for me to do. I want to make sure I get some clarification, because we're saying voting no on prayer. If this is actually put in place, and this may be a question for the superintendent, this is not eliminating what's already in place. This is in addition to. Am I correct in that, Mr. Harper?
That's correct. Policy already states that public school students shall have an absolute right to individually voluntarily and silently pray or meditate in school in a manner that does not disrupt the instructional or other activities of the school," and continues.
So this action doesn't take away anything that's currently in place.
Correct.
This action is, I don't view it as indoctrinating anyone, because you would have to show up, kind of like taking a sex ed class. You'd have to show up with a form saying that your parents have said it's okay for you to do it. You've got to say you want it. As a kid, your parents have to say it's okay, and then as an adult, you would be saying you're doing it yourself. So if no one signs up, nothing changes, correct?
That's correct.
Our schools function as they are.
Other
But-
than the board would adopt a policy to set it in place if there were interest.
Okay. Any other? It's an action item. Trustee Mintz.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a little bit of a non-traditional motion, acknowledging that the Killeen ISD School Board of Trustees places the highest value on the students' and staff's free exercise of religion, and that the board does not wish to infringe upon or limit any freedom to pray as their faith and tradition dictates, the very right that students and staff enjoy today. I move that the Board of Trustees decline to adopt formal opportunity for student prayer as contemplated by Senate Bill 11, as written, which limits opportunity for staff and student prayer.
I have a motion by Trustee Mintz, a second by Secretary Adams. Any further discussions? All those in favor of the motion, show of hands. We have 5 in favor, those opposed. We have 1 opposed. We have 5 in favor, 1 in opposition, 1 absent and not participating, and Vice President Susan Jones. Mr. Mintz's motion passes by 5-1-1 vote. Thank you very much. We'll now go to D, which is consideration of recommendation of a 2025-2026 partnership operating partner. Welcome, Dr. Osborne.
Good evening, President Williams, Board of Trustees, Superintendent Davis. Last Tuesday, on behalf of the Evaluation Committee and Superintendent, I presented the recommendation that Killeen ISD move forward with Third Future Schools as operating partner for Manor Middle School. Tonight, we are requesting that you accept our recommendation and, in doing so, approve the administration to move forward with performance contract negotiations with Third Future Schools. Following your approval, the administration will complete several key activities to finalize our partnership as listed on the slide deck above. I'm here to answer any questions.
Trustee Rainwater.
Thanks, Bishop. How are we going to know, I mean, you presented a rigorous requirements for this, the only public school, by the way, I mean, the only charter school in the state of Texas that's recognized by TEA that does this, that's correct.
Yes, sir.
And you've submitted some and created with your committee some very rigorous requirements. I want to know how we're going to make sure they're met. And we're giving these people our money, our kids, our reputation as a school district. And so I'm extremely cautious, and we don't have a choice. We're up against the wall and we don't have a choice. So I just want some comforting words. They're going to tell me we're going to watch these guys like hawks and make damn sure they're doing everything they're supposed to do. Simply put, thank you. Yeah.
Permission to respond?
Yes.
That is a great question, sir. This is only one step in a very formal and continuous process. When we move into the contract negotiations process, that's step 1, to formalize how we will hold Third Future Schools accountable. Within that process, we'll identify a couple of key things. The first is the pre-opening checklist. That is a list of expectations for them to take responsibility for our campus and us to permit or authorize them to open. That is just the beginning of a 3-year process of monitoring. One of the other components I'm beginning to work through in partnership with the cohort that I'm a part of is called a campus evaluation framework. That campus evaluation framework will go into the contract. We will identify the academic goals, the financial goals, and the operational goals that we expect to be met year over year. In addition to outlining those goals, we will agree upon how we will monitor them. For example, data collections and submissions from Third Future, site visits from our experts within the district, and our annual evaluation process. So while this has been a month-over-month process to come and talk about joining this partnership, we will continue to bring updates and have the capacity to provide thorough data-based updates on whether or not they're meeting the agreed-upon standards within the contract.
I just want you to tell me what leverage we have against these folks if they're not meeting these requirements.
Great question as well. In addition to outlining those expected goals in academics, finance, and operations, if we go out on a site visit or through a data collection and it is not aligned, there is an intervention process that's 4 steps. The notice of concern to the partner, a notice of expectations being breached, probation, and then a notice of non-renewal. So there is an intervention process, and over the course, I've hoped to explain that we are really moving into an oversight position, and that is managed by the administration when we go out to the campuses or we collect data on their behalf. And then if they are not meeting that standard within the contract and the goals, we have a responsibility as the oversight committee and authorizers, the board, to intervene and give them an opportunity to fix that. But intervention at the level of probation or beyond could allow us to non-renew our contract with the partner.
Then where would we go? There's no place to go.
That is a question I can ask as far as follow-up. One of the things that we are submitting is the 1882 benefits. So a point of clarification would be, once those benefits are provided to us, which will apply on March the 31st, if there is a breach in our contract and we've documented it, how does that impact our benefits? That's a question I'm able to ask TEA.
Right, so there's a possibility for, I'd say money damages, which is probably the wrong term, Joey. But we could withhold some of the benefits that we were giving them if they're not doing what we ask.
Well, the benefits are separate, sir.
Well, I mean the monies, which were benefits in terms of transportation, building uses, because
With whatever we determine, our response as far as intervention is determined by what we put in the contract.
okay. So I hope we put that in. Who's in charge of that? Is that
We're
you
working
again?
with Walsh Gallegos for our contract, sir.
Oh, good. I hope we include money damages and things like that.
Noted.
Trustee Gilchrist.
You've done this before, but can you go up one slide and go over the timeline again?
Absolutely.
And just kind of where we're at right now and why we're here today,
Okay.
for the listening audience.
For the listening audience, and I typically would, I wish I had. For the good of our public audience, just to walk through this authorization process, I would first take the public back to our optimization decision in October, in which we determined that the best way forward with Maynard Middle School would be an 1882 partnership. What that meant for us as a district is to become an authorizer of a charter within our district. In order to become an authorizer, we've gone through several steps in the fall that included a board policy update, developing a mission and vision, conducting a formal call for quality schools that went out in early December. We closed that call for quality schools the first week in January, and that brings me to the timeline that is there. When our applications were due, when we closed that call for quality schools, our next step was to begin to evaluate the applications. We received just one application from Third Future Schools. A team of 5 evaluators were trained and reviewed that 13 attachment application from Third Future. We had follow-up questions and an opportunity to define whether they were meets, partially meets, or did not meet in 4 different areas, which was academics, finance, governance and operations, and their existing partnerships. With our follow-up questions, we had an opportunity there on the 3rd bullet to conduct a capacity interview. We took a little over 2 hours to ask our follow-up questions, and we also requested additional documentation from Third Future. And then based on the preponderance of evidence of our 82 success criteria, we are comfortable coming forward with a recommendation for Third Future Schools as our operating partner. That brings us to last Tuesday, the 10th, when Third Future was here to speak on their own behalf, and I made the initial recommendation. Tonight, if we move forward, or the board, at the board's pleasure, moves forward with approval of the operating partner, we will begin performance contract negotiations between Third Future's counsel, and we are working with Walsh Gallegos as our counsel for our performance contract negotiations. Our hope would be to have a draft contract by March the 4th and bring it for the board approval on March the 10th. If for whatever reason we have not teased all those important details out thoroughly and to the letter of what we really need to ensure is happening for our performance contract, we will bring it on March the 24th. With the performance contract that will include the pre-opening checklist, that evaluation framework for our performance goals, and our standards for how we will monitor the partnership. I will submit that in our 1882 benefits application by March the 31st. That is the last application date for TEA, and of all of the items that we've done since October, the 1882 benefits application process is the only thing managed by TEA. We are pursuing the 1882 benefits for 2 primary reasons. The first is the financial added value per student allotment. It ranges from $1,000 to $1,300. And then in addition to that, and probably most important for our scenario with Maynard Middle School, we would be granted a 2-year accountability pause. Any questions, sir?
No. Thank you.
Madam Secretary.
Dr. Osborne, I appreciate you going back through that. Even though our agenda document says consideration, we've been in this moment since the fall of 2025, and it is something that is mandated. It's a mandate from the state that we address the deficit, the instructional deficit and learning at Maynard Middle School. If we had other options, we want everyone to know we would choose them. This is the midnight hour, and we have to move forward. It's not like we just put this on the agenda for today. This work has been with us, a whole team behind you that has spent countless hours, community, people, input, and so I was looking for that slide that had the various schools that have gone through this charter partnership. And at one point, it said something about a guaranteed X amount of year growth, something, something, something.
1.7 years.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
And so we have to have that certainty to go into that. Now, we know nothing is a perfect guarantee, but we expect that 1.7 years of growth, just like the other campuses and districts that have followed this path. And so we're encouraged, we're hopeful, we have high expectations that Maynard Middle School will pull through this process in 2 years, 3 years, however long it takes. And I'm not looking to plan something or possibly approve something that won't work. I mean, that's not who we are as a school district. And so we spent a lot of quality time, conversation, afterthought, options, and we pretty much, where the rubber meets the road. I mean, we have to do this.
Yes,
And so I want the public to be reminded of why we're here, because when you talk about something from October, we've slept many days since then. And so it's always good to keep it before us that TEA is expecting us to address the epidemic in our middle schools, and we have to do this. Thank you.
Mr. Rainwater.
Dr. Osborne, I asked when the superintendent of the school organization was here, I asked him about some other funding grants which may be available. And then he mentioned a grant, but he said that funding was no longer available. Do you recall that?
Yes, that is a competitive grant that we did not apply for because you must have your partnership contract in place before the grant period ends. And so we would have needed to start this process earlier to be within the timeline of the actual grant that the state offers for charter partnerships.
How can you, it's not your question. We started as quickly as humanly possible.
Yes, sir.
We got information late from the agency. We started to do what the agency required us to do, and now they're telling us that grant's not available to us? Are there other options for us to work on to get the grant? How much money is it? Do you know?
I'm uncertain about the
Okay,
award
that's
amount.
not, I don't, that's not, and the other thing I just want to make clear, the application, the $500,000, and that was the amount I heard, is that correct? For the 1882 benefits,
It-
1,300 per kid.
It's about 1,000 to 1,300 per kid. It will depend on what they set the charter ADA amount for.
He said 95%.
That's slightly different.
Oh.
So we get a per pupil allotment as a public school district. The charter school per pupil allotment is actually higher than a traditional public school.
Of course it is.
So when we get benefits as a public school, they will make up the difference. And that's what that $1,000 to $1,300 is per student. But that amount has not yet been determined. We just know they'll make up the gap in what standard ADA for a traditional school is compared to a charter, to ensure that the charter that we're working with gets the maximum amount of dollars that they would have gotten if they were a standalone school outside of KISD.
So I'm thinking at the end of the day, the charter school is going to get the $1,300.
That is correct. It is
not
completely
KISD.
intended to be a pass-through. So that allotment that we receive, whether it be 1,000, let's say it's 1,000, it will pass through
Pass-through
KISD
monies. Got
to
that.
the third-party entity.
So in reality, since we're losing that ADA, our budget, because we're funded by ADA, is going to be impacted by that amount.
We will pay the charter entity to run that school. Essentially, the ADA for Manor will go to Third Future Schools.
So that money's going to come out of our monies, KISD's monies.
That's correct. However, our instructional program, we wouldn't be running. So because they're running the instructional program, we are paying them to run the school essentially.
Yes, ma'am, and I understand that, but at the end of the day, we're still losing money. We're still paying them.
Yes, sir,
higher
that's
ADA.
correct.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Dr. Osborne, and I appreciate your time, it's just important, I want to make sure we have clarification. So what the state says, we have an epidemic in our middle school systems that we have got to address, or you run the risk of there being a conservator appointed.
Yes, sir.
Or potential TEA takeover.
Yes,
The
sir.
1882 is an option that's made because there's ACE, there's LASSO, all those things that we as a district could have implemented on our own. And then there's also the 1882 opportunity, which we're going to pursue. Now, though we tonight we're considering, if this thing if there's a consensus to say move forward, this still doesn't complete baking the cake, because you could come back, correct, with the negotiating agreement that this board could vote down because they say they don't agree with it.
That's correct. And that would be the contract we'd be bringing forward on March the 10th or 24th, depending on how quickly we move through the negotiations process.
And
Yes,
at
sir.
that point in time, Killeen Independent School District would then be responsible for running Manor Middle School next year, like we have traditionally done since its inception, correct?
We would continue per usual, sir.
Yeah, and that's why I just want to make sure the public understands that it is not a done deal. We are considering authorizing Dr. Davis and his team to move forward with granular negotiations. You've gone through the vetting process, and now you're saying, here's the one that we're going to negotiate with, but it is still, the cake is not baked.
That is correct.
Is that correct, Dr. Davis? Yes. And then the other important thing I just want everyone to understand is, yes, it's a different method, but we don't have a middle school that is higher than a C.
That's correct.
This is going to give us a snapshot of what another method of education may look like for our kids, and it may shed light on a format of instruction that may be beneficial for our kids in future years, because at the end of the day, the most important thing is a education system that is responsive to the needs of the kids that are in that system so they can learn to their fullest potential.
That's correct. It is a non-traditional model in which kids have seen success previously.
Mr. Rainwater.
Thank you. I know I've said some things that may be harsh, and I don't intend to be. I just have these questions. But in reality, to me, a big plus of this is it keeps the agency, I won't cuss anymore, out of our hair for 2 years. And the last thing we need in Killeen Independent School District is our dear friends from Austin coming down here and trying to help us out again. So, I mean, there's a lot of things I don't like about this because I don't ever like to be put in a corner by anyone. But if it's going to help our kids, as the board president said, and if it's going to keep the agency away from us and save us countless nightmares in dealing with the agency, although I do think their bark is a lot worse than their bite, but I don't know. But I think that part you have to look at in its totality to see and to understand. And just to thank you again for your work. I'm not picking on you.
I don't feel that way, sir.
Thank you. Thanks, Brett.
And just the last thing I do want to say, and I think it's important for the public to understand, I don't know that they came looking for us, meaning TEA. I mean, we kind of ran to them with our scores. And I'll be honest, I'm just saying, they're not chasing down A and B districts, and so we've kind of got ourselves in this pickle, and we've got to work our way out of it. And I'm as confident as you can be in this situation. You got to make the best of a bad situation, but we do have to, we got to own we have to own who we are. And that is, as TEA, epidemic in the system based on the scores. And so I just encourage, families and our kids to not just here, but everywhere to be focused in, because if TEA does come, it's because we didn't deliver on what we were supposed to do. And if we deliver, they'll leave us alone if we want to call it messing with us. I call it accountability. It's the state of Texas. It's not going anywhere. And we're all held accountable, and kids only get one chance to come through the education system. We got to do our best to educate them, and being all C's and some D's and F's, that's not acceptable. I don't think anyone's running around looking to put their kid in a D or an F campus, so we've got to be better, and I think this represents the next best opportunity to try to alter the course of the trajectory of our kids in our middle school system. And so I hope everyone understands it's not an indictment of failure, it's just the reality. And so, any other comments? Mr. Mintz.
I have some very mixed feelings about this 1882 for a number of reasons. It is my humble opinion, a thinly veiled attempt by the, Mr. Rainwater, would you refer to them as the good folks in Austin? Yes, our partners in Austin, to push forward this agenda where we're leaning more towards charter schools, and the privatization of education walks hand in hand with the school vouchers, which I believe school vouchers are good. Parents should have a choice. I believe all of these things can work in the same ecosystem. I also think it's quite a racket when the government says, well, we'll just pass that money through to another company, which is undoubtedly somehow connected to the government. Sorry, my conspiracy inner voice started talking again. However, I think that we do have two great opportunities here. A, it's to get the kids in Maynard Middle School a better education, which is the most important thing that we do. Secondly, I hope that we are stealing prolifically what's going on in that school. Because if they're moving a year and a half or 1.7 years in 1 year, like we ought to have, like that should be shift work watching what they do and stealing it. So I hope that as we go through this process and as we watch how they're implementing, everybody gets out their big chief tablets and their stubby pencils and starts making some notes on this, because I would love to see some of this stuff cross-leveled into some of the other things, other schools and other ways in which we do business.
Any other questions, comments from trustees? It's an action item. Madam Secretary.
Mr. President, I move to approve the Future School as the Texas Partnership 2026-2029 operating partner for Maynard Middle School.
We have a motion by Secretary Adams. I think I saw we have a second by Trustee Gilchrist. Any further discussion? There being none, all those in favor, show of hands. We have 6 in favor, none in opposition, 1 absent and not participating, and Vice President Susan Jones. Thank you, Dr. Osborne, for your continued work.
Thank you, trustees.
We'll now go to agenda item E, consideration of the annual comprehensive financial and compliance reports for the fiscal year ended August 31, 2025. Welcome, Ms. Callan Dayton.
Thank you very much. Want to make an introduction. Mr. Dane Legg is here tonight. He has been before you in previous years, but for the viewing public. Mr. Legg is a partner with Lot Vernon and Company, and he and his team performed our annual financial and compliance audit this year. Again, for the audience, want to point out the difference between an internal audit, which typically looks at processes and efficiency. This is the financial audit, which looks at our financials and are they reasonable and can be relied on to make decisions. And so the other thing I want to do before I turn it over to Mr. Legg, Melanie Jones is here tonight. I want to thank her. She coordinated this process, but it was absolutely a team effort. There's so many people in this district that had a part of this, and so I just want to thank them for their piece. And so with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Legg.
Thank you, Cal.
Welcome, Mr. Legg.
Good evening, Dr. King, members of the board. I'm not used to being here on a February night, so let me allude to that for a second. There's a few setbacks in reporting this year. OMB compliance supplement, which governs all of your federal accounting and auditing as it relates to your federal funds. It usually comes out between February and April of any given year. This year, it did not come out until the day before Thanksgiving. So that put all districts and all federal audits kind of at bay. That coupled with a little turnover in your federal reporting staff has us assisting you in getting this AFR completed. So where we're at tonight, we have all of the financial statements completed. So I'm going to present your core financials in a second. Most of the footnotes, keep in mind you do a GFOA and ASBO certification for reporting excellence. And so that adds some footnotes and some statistical sections at the back. And that is literally the only thing remaining in finishing your AFR. So I cannot date the report at this point, but I can certainly present your core financial statements tonight. You should have a bound copy first, summary financial statements for the board. If If you flip to page 3 and 4, this will be the balance sheet for the district. Similar format in previous years. I'm primarily dealing with the far right-hand column for the total district-wide. Indicator number 1, your total assets, $361.3 million. That is down $54.3 million from the previous year. A few of these significant decreases, indicators number 2 are your cash and investments at large. They are down $21.5 million from previous year. You'll see that results of that when we look at the P&L, and also as we look down to see that the liabilities have seriously decreased, paying off those liabilities. Indicator number 3, due from other governments, $26.1 million is down $9 million. Really the biggest factor in that is your ESSER 3 fund. You know, we had ESSER COVID funds in the past. We don't have that anymore. And so that is down $15 million from last year, just not having that fund. And then indicator number 4, due from other funds, is down $25 million. Again, that's just a timing issue. You'll see a corresponding decrease in the liability in a second. Indicator number 5 is your total liabilities, $43.2 million, which is down $41.3 million over last year. Indicator number 6 is your accounts payable, right at $10 million, which is down $13.6 million. ESSER 3 had $6.8 million last year, and school building project is down about $3 million just due to activity. There's less activity in the school building project fund. And then again, indicator number 7, that's our due from other funds. That's the corresponding $25 million decrease that we saw with the asset. Indicator number 8 is your total fund balance for the district, right at $315 million, down $13.5 million or 4.1% from last year. If you peek over to page 3, third number from the bottom on the general fund, I have indicator number 9. That is your unrestricted, unassigned fund balance, commonly referred to as your reserve. $158 million, it represents about 50% of your total fund balance, and also 3.9 months worth of operating expenditure. So it's in compliance with the advisement of having 3 to 6 months of operating expenditures in there, and it's also in compliance with your district policy of not having less than 3 months. Any questions on the balance sheet side?
Questions?
If you flip a couple of pages to 7 and 8, we will look at the income statement, revenues and expenses, and look at that decrease of fund balance of $13.5 million. I'm going to start with the general fund just to identify where that deficit is. You can see in the general fund, the first column there, third number from the bottom, your general fund had a surplus of $11.8 million. So it's not the general fund is where that deficit came from. $11.8 million is about 2.4% of your expenditures. Then when you look over to the third column, your school building project fund, it does have a deficit of $17.5 million, and that fund is totally for construction costs. So it's normal for that to have a deficit. There wasn't anything being transferred to that fund, and you are simply spending the monies that are still left in that fund. Then to the next page, under other funds, you have a deficit there of about $7.8 million. The majority of that is your child nutrition program. It has a deficit of about $12 million. Again, it had enough fund balance and enough cash to spend from the previous year. So you were just spending funds that you had already in the account from the previous year. Now let's look at the total column. Indicator number 1, up there, your total operating revenues, $607.8 million. That is down $43.3 million from last year. 2 increases you have. Indicator number 2 is your local revenue at $132 million, is up $5 million, primarily due to the property tax being up over $6 million from previous year. State program revenue, indicator number 3, at $343.2 million, is up 13.9 million. Again, your allotment is up, your TEA allotment is up about 14.2 million over last year. And then the decrease comes in the federal program revenue. Indicator number 4, 132.2 million. It is down 62.2 million. Impact aid was down 13.1 over last year. Again, ESSER 3 we didn't have, which was 43.6 million. And then clean school bus rebate was 3.8 million last year. We didn't have that this year. Total expenditures for the district, indicator number 5, 619 million, down 51 million over last year. Right above that, your indicator number 6, your capital outlay, your construction costs is at just under 10 million, is down 26 million. The school building project that I mentioned, there's less activity. It's down about 18 million. And then you still had a Prop A bond construction cost last year of about 7.2 that you don't have this year. And then overall, from a fund perspective, the rest of your decrease in expenditures is ESSER 3 again, 43.6 million in the previous year. And then you did have an increase in child nutrition, just under 12 million due to the over expenditure of that cash that was left over from last year, mainly in equipment and capital projects. Indicator number 7, your total other financing sources and uses, negative 2.2 million. I'll remind the board that is the results of the transfer that you did from Fund 496 to the Scholarship Trust Fund, and that's the reason for that transfer out. And then indicator number 8, that is our 4.1% decrease in fund balance for this fiscal year. Any questions on the income statement? Yes, Mr. Rainwater.
Help me, please. So is it fair to say that our total decreases in revenue is 327 million
Your total decreases in revenue?
coming into KISD monies coming?
No, you're 43.3 million. It's down.
43.3.
43.3.
And where was that? I'm sorry, I missed it.
The majority of that is ESSER 3. So you
Okay.
had ESSER 3 last year, right at 43.6. That is the majority of the culprit of that decrease in revenue. You don't have that COVID program anymore.
And can you tell me how much money we have decreased our expenditures in this audit findings? Is that a fair question?
Fair question, easily 51 in total. 43.6 million of obviously is the ESSER side. And then on the construction side of the house, construction costs, school building project, other projects across the district, that was down about 26 million over last year. And then you had an increase of about 11 million in the child nutrition program.
Right. So 43.6 decrease in our monies coming in.
What's that?
43.6 million in a decrease of fundings coming into us.
Yes.
And we have cut in our budget approximately 26.
26 on the capital outlay.
Capital
Yes.
outlays only.
Yeah, construction, yes.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Huh? Any other questions? Yes?
I don't know if it's a question or just kind of a comment, as we just finished an action item and voting on the 1882. How does that impact, or how will that, I guess maybe just a comment, I assume we're going to have to account for that sometime as we go into this next year?
So without knowing the specifics on it, is it going to be considered federal funds or is it state funds? State? Yeah. So it will come in as a revenue and go out as an expense.
Sure.
Yeah.
And so I guess, yeah, okay. I think that's important, but I also think there's going to be, I don't think it's going to be a super clean, because there is going to be overhead costs and some other stuff that we absorb or pay for. So I just as a point of order, or point of, it just may be a little more complex next year as we kind of work through that, so.
Any other questions? Back to you, Mr. Legg.
The federal side of it, we alluded to the OMB compliance supplement being late. I do have the federal audit section. It's labeled the single audit reports for this fiscal year. If you flip to page 6 of that, I have the summary of results. And again, our federal single audit is complete. Once the statistical section and the AFR is completed, I can date this one, because this one has to be dated at the same as the AFR. But when you look at page 6, we have completed all of our federal single audit testing. Items 1, 2, and 3 deal with the internal controls as it relates to the financial statements. It is an unmodified or clean opinion with no non-compliance. 4, 5, and 6 deal with the federal awards as they're required to be tested for this fiscal year. It is also an unmodified or clean opinion with no audit findings. Item 7 identifies the programs required to be tested as major this fiscal year. The first one there, your pass-through from TEA, the supporting effective money, that is your Title II money for those who know that lingo. And then, of course, the one down there below that is the child nutrition program. Those are required to be tested as major for this fiscal year. And then when you flip the page, item number 9, all of this goes into the data collection form as it relates to your federal funds and the testing involved. And as it is highlighted in that database, because you had a clean audit last year and a clean single audit this year, you do qualify as a low-risk auditee, which is very important getting future grants. The only other thing I'll add, and I know I do this every year, it's kind of a three-headed monster for your federal funds. And on any given year, I have to do either child nutrition, Title I, or special ed. So I kind of give you a heads up what's coming down the pipe next year. And so based on where you're at and what we've audited in previous years, special ed will be on the table for next year. I especially want to give you a heads up on that because although special ed is the smallest program out of that three-headed monster, it is the most difficult to meet compliance on with all the documentation that's required for that. So special ed will be a major program for fiscal year 2026. Any questions on the federal single audit side?
Questions for Mr. Legg?
Yes.
Mr. Metz?
I don't think there were any material weaknesses, but were there any significant that we had to deal with? Any of the significant deficiencies or that kind of that next level down?
No, not any significant deficiencies. So when we had the audit committee meeting, I went through some comments. Those are not to the level of bringing into that federal single audit or regular audit. It's just slight breakdowns in control that y'all can improve so that they don't become findings.
And those were kind of corrected in stride, or you notified the team of them?
Yes.
When you found them?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Rainwater?
Yes, sir.
If you can't answer this, you might get some help from our friend, but not to imply you couldn't answer it. But we often hear about all our federal funds haven't reached us yet, and they're forthcoming when the government says they're going to pay off or give us. Do you know anything about how much money we might have forthcoming from the government that we haven't received that we're due at this point?
I don't know anything that's recorded on the receivables at this point, no.
No? Okay. All right, thank you.
Mhm. Any other questions? Concludes my report.
We appreciate you, Mr. Legg, your hard work. All right, trustees. Trustee Gilchrist.
Mr. President, I move to approve the annual comprehensive financial report for the fiscal year ending August 31st, 2025 as presented.
We have a motion by trustee Gilchrist. We have a second by Madam Capito. Any further discussion by trustees? There being none, all those in favor, show of hands. We have 6 in favor, none in opposition, 1 absent and not participating, and Vice President Susan Jones. Thank you very much. Okay. The time is now 7:43 p.m., and we're going to take a 10-minute recess, and then we'll reconvene. We don't, oh, I'm sorry. We're not. We're rolling right into number 7, unless someone says they need to take a 5-minute recess to go to the men's or women's room. If not, we're rolling in number 7, which is planning for strategic prioritization, and the man that needs no script or no introduction. Welcome, Dr. Hinojosa.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board, Mr. Superintendent, and senior staff. Thank you for allowing us to participate in this activity with you. Some of you may not recognize me. 27 years ago, when I first became a superintendent, I was 6'5", and working with boards all over the state and staff, I got cut down to size every day. But really, this is, I was listening to your meeting. You have a lot of big things in front of you. And so what we're going to do, if you'll go to my deck, what we're going to do is what we're calling transformational governance, and we're going to put all the pieces together. First of all, this session will not last long. We'll be out of here in probably less than an hour, and we're going to come out of here with some deliverables. So first of all, I know that my colleague, my mentor, Dr. Moses, took you through Team of 8 training. We're going to try to thread everything together. My board member, Ben Mackey, and Andrew Kim, my business partner, walked you through Lone Star Governance. And then I'm here to do what we call strategic prioritization, and you will participate in that. And then I'm going to do one activity to warm us up for that. And we're going to stay in this setting since it's late, and we can still get this accomplished. And so one of the things that I learned early in my career, that if everything is important, nothing's important. That you cannot boil the ocean. And I heard many things that you guys were talking about tonight that are pretty heavy. Plus, I've also, let's go to the next slide. Also know I took the liberty of condensing your vision. A vision is where you want to go in a future state. And you talked a lot about that, about your agenda items today. Your mission is your purpose. And you're very clear that you're not happy with where your performance is. You spent 2 days thinking and processing Lone Star Governance so that you can organize your systems to get the results that you want and that your students deserve. Well, I'm also going to tell you that just looking, and I know that you got the scorecard, and then you got 4 things there, and you got your special ed strat plan, strategic plan, and then you got your district improvement plan, and you got guards and goals and guardrails, and then, so there's so many different things. So how do you bite an elephant? How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So that's what we're going to do, and this is something that you're going to participate in, so that we don't want you to buy in these solutions. We want you to actually own them. And that's what we're going to finish with tonight. We'll have some deliverables tonight. Some of it depends on how long it takes us, and some of it I may need to confer with your senior staff and your superintendent about. But at least we'll identify what is the most important thing that this district has to get done. But before that, let's go to the next slide. We're going to skip that one since we need to run short of time. But I want you to individually, board members and Mr. Superintendent, the team of 8 minus 1 tonight, I want you to think about the most inspirational leader you've ever known. This could be your mom. This could be your pastor. This could be your special ed child. This could be John F. Kennedy. This could be Martin Luther King. This could be a colleague of yours that you respect, that's walked in your shoes. And I want you to write down all of the adjectives that describe that individual. Just start writing them down. If we'll go to this. Okay, write down as many as you can. Now start looking at them, because someone's going to pick your word. So you're going to have to give me a word or two. And someone is going to steal your word, I promise you. All right. Diana has been amazing. She's helped me set up for this evening. And so she's going to actually record your words, your adjectives up here on the spreadsheet as we go. And I'm going to ask Board Member Capito to start first. One word that describes that inspirational leader that you thought of. Impactful, okay? Next, trustees. Diplomatic. All right, next. Collaborator. Let's stop right there, make sure that we get caught up. Dr. King. Transformational. Firm. Trustee. Driven. Reverend. Competent. Okay, we got 7 words up there. We're going somewhere with this. Now let's go back. Let's go back again, Trustee Gilchrist, another word, and we're going to go back around one more time. What? Faithful. Next question. Next, Christine. Smart. Consistent. Okay. Visionary. Humble. And then we'll get the last one when we get, when our other trustee gets up here. All right, let me tell you about this triangle. I've lived by 2 triangles. The first one is the success triangle. I didn't learn till my 3rd superintendency. Right here are the students in the middle of this triangle. At the top of the triangle is the school board. Because you're my bosses and you're accountable to the voters. At this corner of the triangle is the staff. He cannot do any work without all of these people. And at the other corner of the triangle is the community. So now you've got this triangle right here. If you want to accomplish great things, you get all parts of the triangle moving in the same direction. Mr. Superintendent, if the board loves you and the staff loves you, but the community doesn't, they're going to change your board. And same thing. So purposefully, my whole career, Wednesdays and Mondays were staff days, Thursdays were board days, Tuesdays and Fridays were community days, and I worked that entire triangle trying to move us all forward. This is the second triangle I want to talk to you about. The last word, trustee, we need your second word if you want to give us your second word. The same question. Yeah. Do you have a second word or you can pass? We've got enough words up there. Kind, okay. All right, so now I'm going to argue about a different triangle. This is this triangle about leaders. Leaders and board members are leaders. You ask people to vote for you for a job where you get paid nothing and you have to deal with a lot of issues. And you are a leader. The superintendent is the leader by definition. But leaders have another triangle. And I would argue that at the base of this triangle is the word knowledge. If you don't have knowledge, you cannot be a good lawyer if you don't know the law. Knowledge is required, but not enough. We all know that great math teacher in your middle schools you were talking about that knows everything about math. They're not a leader because they can not transfer that knowledge to the students. So my argument is that knowledge, I think Covey had it wrong. He talked about it's all about leading people. Well, if you can't manage things, you can't lead people. So it's a prerequisite. So that's at the base. Another one, at the other is the S is the skills. Now a leader has skills to take the knowledge that they have to transfer to other people. When I came back to Dallas from Georgia, we had 46 F schools. We were down to 4 when the pandemic hit. So you have to have the skills to get other people to do the work. So that's what the triangle is. And at the top, there's another concept. Some people call it dispositions. Some people call it mindsets. I call it attitude. And with the challenges that you're facing, that you described tonight, and that I saw you talk about when I was here a couple of weeks ago, you need, the true leaders need to step up in this community right now when you have this opportunity. So let's just take your words, and I want you to blurt it out. And there is no right or wrong answer, because I've just argued. By the way, back to the knowledge piece, there's 2 types of trust. Technical trust, first of all, it's interpersonal trust. We all know what that means. but the other one is technical trust. Like one of your trustees was asking a lot of questions about how much technical trust do we have in this provider that we're giving the school off to. See, a technical trust is I give you an assignment and you deliver on it. If I give you an assignment and you don't deliver on it, what am I going to do? I'm going to hesitate about giving that assignment to you again. See, so that's how you build up that technical trust. So your answer is either skill, knowledge, or attitude. Let's go up to your words. Let's go to the first word. First word, I think, says impactful. Is that a knowledge, skill, or attitude? Blurt it out. Skill. Okay, diplomatic. That's an attitude. Just because you got it doesn't mean you always do it. You know that guy on that ball team who, hey, I can be diplomatic, but I want the ball. I want to score. Okay? Collaborator. Attitude. Yeah, it's a skill, but if you don't want to collaborate, you don't have to. Transformational. Firm. Attitude. Driven. Okay, well, we can finish this, but it all comes back. I've done this activity since 1990. And every time, yes, you need some knowledge and you need some skills, but it's always the attitude. Attitude is everything. So these challenges that you're facing right now, do you take it on with an attitude of, yes, the abundance mentality, we're going to whip this thing, or the deficit mentality, this is overwhelming, or how are we going to deal with this? So I would argue that to think about that as you go to the next steps of the activity. So what is the attitude that the Killeen ISD is going to have to take on some of these things you're going to be facing? Let's go back to the deck. All right, let's go to the next slide. All right, next slide. One more, and one more, and one more. Okay, here it is. Here's where the rubber meets the road. Here's where we're going to come up with some deliverables. I want each trustee in 6 words or less to write down 6 words or less per topic. What are the major challenges or threats that Killeen ISD must overcome in the next 18 months? And let me tell you why I say 18 months. Believe it or not, I've never had a strategic plan. A strategic plan is a 5-year plan. How many of us know what's going to happen 5 years from now? Your wonderful base here was Fort Hood, then it was Fort Cavazos, now it's Fort Hood. In 5 years, who knows what the name is going to be? You don't know what's going to happen. But you know in business and personally in business and in your church what's going to happen 18 months from now. Right now, we are at a critical period. This is almost, now we're thinking about spring break. We know what we're going to be doing 18 months from now, next fall. And every quarter you pierce the next quarter. Things that you thought you were going to do change because now your son's getting married. So you get new data. I have learned this since 1995 when I studied Tom Peters and when he talked about strategic planning, rest in peace. And then when I went to Georgia, the University of Georgia Business School convinced me and other superintendents that this is called strategic thinking. So strategy is important. 5 years is not important. 18 months is important. Guess what? We're going to have another legislative session sometime. So things keep changing. So I want you to write in your own words, in 6 words or less, what are the major challenges or threats that Killeen ISD must overcome in the next 18 months? By the way, this is the perfect time to be doing this because you have a new superintendent in place and you're setting things up. Okay, let's go to the spreadsheet. Yeah, I can't stand in one place. By the way, when I retired, my wife said, "You need 5 friends." I said, "All my friends are dead." She goes, "No, you need a friend for Monday, a friend for Tuesday, and that's why I'm in Killeen Tuesday night looking for some friends." That's the key to a successful marriage. I'm here and she's in Florida with her golf girlfriends. How about that? All right, Trustee Gilchrist, 6 words.
Academic apathy of low-performing schools.
Wow. Academic apathy of low-performing schools. That's very powerful. You're a preacher. You know how to say words in 6 words. But usually a lot more in 6 words. Trustee Rainwater.
Organizational excellence, which impacts student-teacher success.
Okay, organizational excellence, which impacts student-teacher success. Trustee Williams. Say it again. Economic, ECODIS student achievement. Superintendent? Reading and math. All right. Trustee Adams. Improve student performance in the middle. Let me tell you, we turn all those schools around in Dallas. Don't feel badly. My last frontier was middle schools. In fact, I had to come up with a project called AIM, Achieving in the Middle. And let me tell you why. Our high schools were successful because of P-TECH and other things, and career institutes and all those kind of things. Our elementary schools were successful because they were communities. Our middle schools, the parents left because now my kid's going to school with a kid in that hood. Or elementary teachers, they really love kids, and some secondary teachers love the subjects. And so then you have all that hitting at the same time, and hormones and all that. So, but there are no excuses. We found a way to do it, but it was tough, and it was our last frontier. Trustee Mintz.
Optimization, impact aid, 1882 achievement culture.
Oh, wait, that's a lot of different topics. Let's go with optimization first. But you get another bite at the apple. Say some of the other ones, see if I can combine a couple of them.
Optimization.
Okay.
Impact aid.
Okay, let's come back. That's very different. Let's come back. You get another shot. Okay, Trustee.
These are my words.
I know, but they're different topics because we're going to trust the process. Okay, here we go.
I'm going to steal from Dr. Creighton. Sorry. Improve Tier 1 instruction for student achievement.
Okay, improve Tier 1 instruction for student achievement. Do you still want to use impact aid, or do you want to go with something else that's a priority?
These are my words. I mean,
well, okay, let's put impact aid, and let's go to the next one next. Yes, ma'am.
Building community trust.
Building community trust.
Literacy and numeracy in the early grades.
Okay. Say it again, Dr. Davis. Literacy.
At the early grades, pre-K through 2.
President Williams.
Can it be somewhat duplicate?
You put your ideas up there. There's a step in the process for that.
3rd grade student achievement.
3rd grade student achievement. Let's scroll up and put it in. Let's put it in the H, alpha. Trustee Rainwater.
Teacher performance.
Teacher performance. Very clear. Trustee Gilchrist. Funding cuts. All right, funding cuts and budget shortages. Okay, that's the first step in the process. Now here's the second step. We don't use judgment. We'll go through and we'll see if everybody understands what those words mean. Because I made you come down to 6 words. Now you can elaborate. Let's go back up to the top. Let's go to A. Academic apathy of low-performing schools. That is very clear. Does anybody have any questions about what he means? Okay. Organizational excellence, which impacts student-teacher success. Tell us a little bit more what you mean about that, sir.
I just think teachers aren't going to be successful with administrative structures that don't support the classroom teacher and student performance, and a kind of a chasm between what happens in the central office and what occurs in the building, and how our teachers.
Okay, so you want to make sure that excellence gets all the way down to
There
the.
you go.
Hey, I appreciate it.
Planned excellence.
I know what ECODIS, student achievement, means. Math and reading, I understand what that means. Improve student performance in the middle. Optimization, yep, I know what you mean by that. Does anybody have any question about what he means by optimization? Okay. We have building community trust. I know what that means. But elaborate a little bit. Oh, that was yours? Yeah. Tell us what you mean by that.
So I think that the connection between the school family and the community we serve, there's a breach of trust.
Okay. All right.
So building from the inside of the organization out, trust, two-way trust.
Okay, I've never worked in an Impact 8 district. Tell me why that's so important to this district.
So we get about $50 million a year, about 10% of our budget from federal funding, which is in the form of impact aid paid to districts that serve military, tribal communities that don't get the benefit of those property taxes.
Okay, great, thank you. That helps me. Literacy at the early grades, third grade achievement, teacher performance. Tell me who said teacher performance? Who said? I think I know what that means, but what do you mean by teacher performance? Okay. There's no doubt that the principal has a big impact on the achievement on a campus, but the teacher has the most. And so there's no doubt. And then, of course, I'm surprised, and I was pleasantly surprised because Mr. Kim's not here tonight because you're going to see him in the news tomorrow. We're trying to find a way to keep a district open, and I was pleasantly surprised that your finances, even though you dipped a little bit in your fund balance, that's not a big issue, and it's only came up once. I've done this about 10 times in the last 2 months, and every other district is facing huge problems with finances. Some of the questions you were alluding to about your revenue and how, the state had a lot of money this year. We just didn't get much of it. But you need to be proud of yourself that your house is not on fire financially like many of the people that I've been working with in the last few months. So that's one thing that you don't have to be top of mind. All right, here's what happens next. Because all of these are going to be important. All of these are going to stay up there, and I'm going to be working with your superintendent and your staff so that nothing that got put up there gets ignored. However, strategy, like for example, let me give you some examples. When I came back to Dallas and we had 46 F schools, nobody got a raise in Dallas except our best teachers. We happen to know who they were, because we were stacking up money for our strategic initiatives. Now, you do happen to have, so we put big bet on pathways in technology. We put a big bet on early childhood. We put a big bet on teacher compensation. So we had to come up with the money to fund those. Everybody says you're broke. They used to tell me, if a superintendent tells you they don't have any money, it's because they're telling the vendor, I don't want to deal with you. I don't have any money. In Dallas, we had $2 billion. $2 billion. It's what you do with the money you do have. It's what's important. And so what we did, we stacked up how we were going to fund the things that we thought were the biggest bet for us to move the needle academically. And it's since you're not in dire straits financially, but you do strategic abandonment. That's where you quit funding things that don't work. And I always ask people, where do the best teachers come from? Do they come from Waco, Baylor University? Do they come from University of Texas? Do they come from Concordia? And the answer is no, they come from April. The teachers you hire in April are great. Any teacher you hire in August, ain't nobody else wanted. And you hired them. And then you go split up a class, and now it costs you all less money. But if you do a class size waiver and you give that other teacher another $5,000 to have 25 kids, now you don't break up, you don't take 12 kids and put them with a long-term sub. That's being strategic. And then you get a class size waiver, and then you start stacking that money up to fund your strategy. Those are things that we can work with you about what you pick and how you resource it so that you can have an impact on your organization. And that's why Ben is working with you about prioritization. So this is how it works. Now, only the authors of the initiatives, of the ideas, can agree to combine. But, to your point, if you leave them all up there, then you're going to dilute the vote because you don't get to vote on all of them. You only get to vote on a few of them. I'm going to force you to be disciplined. Your voice is important, and all of you are going to have a voice. But, it'd be like, to me, there's a high combination between third grade achievement, literacy at early grades, and then also reading. Did I see reading and math? D. Two of them are yours, so you can combine them. Okay, so he's combining. So just take out D. Just blank out D. Yeah, you don't get to vote on D. Put it a different color. Yeah, there you go. That's perfect. We forgot about it because it's now embedded into K. No, into. He said literacy and numeracy. Add numeracy to J because that makes it more what was his original intent. But now, you said third grade achievement. So why did you just say third grade achievement? If you learn to read, you can read to learn. If you don't, no, you tell a third grade young man to read out loud and he can't read, what's he going to do? He's going to throw a chair. And now you're disciplining. So, but you just said reading. You can either combine those two. Okay, so including, no, you already got, so let's take out K. So J, all right, just take out K. Thank you. All right, now, do any other ones, are any other ones similar? Or does anyone else need explaining on any of the other items? I think they're pretty clear. Okay, here's the next step in the process. Everybody gets a card. You can combine impact aid and funding cuts and budget shortage. Well, but he has to agree to that. Well, I can agree to that. You want to put yours with his? With his. Oh, okay. All right, then. That's a good negotiator, Reverend. All right, so let's add, let's do it this way. Where's the impact aid? Okay, just go to impact aid and add the words including budget-related items. All right, now on this card, you write down these numbers. On these cards, write down 15, 12, 10, 8, and 5. 15, 12, 10, 8, and 5. 15, 12, 8, 10, and 5. So in your opinion, the one you think is the biggest bet to overcome all of your challenges over the next 18 months, if you think that A, you put beside the 15, you put an A. Just put the alpha. If you think Tier 1 instruction, H is the biggest bet, you put H beside the 15. So you get 5 votes. 5 alphas. You get 5 alphas that you get to pick from, and they put them in these order. Your number 1 is 15. Your 5th priority gets 5 points. You put, if, 1, you only get 115 vote. And if yours is L, or J, if yours is J, you put it beside right there, 15.
Gotcha.
Your second choice is what?
It's 12. Gotcha.
Okay, 12, your second choice is 12.
I'm with you. Okay.
And let me know when you're finished, because we don't have all night. We got to get to work. We've got, if you, Oliver, thank you. All right, let me have your cards when you're finished. All right, got 2. Okay. H15, in one of those, on column C, if you go to H and put a 15 in there. I don't know which one's yours. It's too late. It's too late.
I just noticed what I didn't know.
12C. It's too late. I already got them. L10. It doesn't matter. It's all going to come out in the wash.
I got you.
8A. I5. Bingo. 15H. E12. No, yeah, right there. There you go. There we go. E12. All right.
We're on the D column.
Yeah, we can do it either way, but yeah, it's better if you put, so we'll see. Okay, great. Because like this, we can, as the auditors leave, oh God, I need somebody to audit my numbers. B10. Now that was B, no, let's go down to, that, you put it on A. There you go, there you go. 8A. J5. All right, next column. Let's go. Here we go. E15. E. All right. J12. L10. H8. I5. All right. J15. E12. H10. B8. I5. E15. H12. J10. G8. B5. H15. L12. E8. I10. C5. J15. H12. E10. C8. L5. Okay, you're in violent agreement. You're in violent agreement that your first priority needs to be improved Tier 1 instruction. In fact, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Everybody put it in their priorities. And number 2 is improve student performance in the middle. You need to come up with something bold to start that right now. Nothing will get you more focused than know you're going to get shot on at sundown. You've got some F schools that are headed in that trajectory. You're making some decisions tonight because of the situation that you're in. So how can you pull resources? And by the way, those two are very well related. You know, I used to walk schools every Wednesday for 27 years. I never would go into any classroom. I'd walk by every classroom because I could see kids on death row. Like this, they're asleep. If your middle school kids are on death row, that's not going to be good for anybody in this room. So those are your 2 top priorities by far. Now, I want you to send me the spreadsheet because now, so then not far behind is literacy and numeracy. So let's just take a second to process. So including the staff now, someone next to you, what I like about this data is, and what I'm wondering about. What I like about this is, and what I'm wondering about. So start talking to someone next to you. Let's go. No, leave it there. No, leave it there. Okay, I've done this so many times, and what's really telling about this, almost everything you put up there that has significant points is about instruction. It is about instruction. Even teacher performance is about instruction. And I'm glad that four of you said building community trust is one of your priorities. So that's something that you can do by how you focus on your academic instruction. Remember, your goal is to be in control of your own destiny. You said it many times tonight. You don't want the state to be in remote control of your destiny. Almost every one of you said it in some comment. You got to take charge of that. And, I think Andrew Kim already met with some of your people last Friday about some things that he knows that we've both been successful in moving the needle. Let me tell you this. Fixing a budget is linear. It's very painful, but it's linear. Fixing student achievement is not linear. It's not linear. But what you can't have is what you started with, is low expectations. I say that high expectations without support is cruelty. Support without expectations is chaos. But George Bush got it right. The soft bigotry of low expectations. So you've got to take the control of that narrative, and it is that abundance mentality. Now, I have high expectations. I expect that everybody in this room, especially you, can do 50 push-ups. Let's drop. No, but, wait a minute, time out. If you give me a year, and you give me some weight training, and you give me some proper nutrition, unless you have a severe disability, you can do 50 push-ups a year from now. And that's what it takes, is hard work and grind. But you're in violent agreement about what your priority is. If you can fix this, and by the way, there are systems to do it. Now, but don't just chase a score. Some systems get scores because of this. They micromanage. And if you work for somebody who micromanages you, how long are you going to stay till you get your next job? If you're a smart, trained, professional person, you'll stay. But here's what happens. If you're going down the freeway and you see a cop, what do? You took your foot off the accelerator, even if you weren't speeding. Why? Because we respect. Well, some people, they have 10, 15 spot observations of every teacher, every period. Well, ain't nobody reading the newspaper. They're not reading about the Colleen Ellison scores last night. They're teaching. And it's really hard to go from 89 to 91. It's really easy to go from 45 to 50. See what I'm saying? So some people are just looking to move the numbers. You need to move the numbers, but it's how you do it and what you do and what systems do you put in place for the long haul. So if this 1882 partnerships bails you out, congratulations. But you still got to think about the whole system. And you got to be in control of your own destiny. So let's go back to the deck. So what's painfully obvious to me, and it's already 8:30, so I'm going to let you go soon. Let's go to the next slide. So what does success look like? If you want to move the needle academically, there's some proven research about the systems that 6 high-poverty school systems in the country had the biggest impact on moving the high-poverty students. The research is very clear. I'll share it with you, Superintendent, and you can share it. Because you got to fix the flat tire right now. But if you only fix the flat tire and you don't fix the engine, it's only going to get you out of the ditch. And you can just go to the next stop. You need to start looking about, so what does success look like over the next 18 months? And Ben is starting to work with you, so that's part of the ingredients. And how do you, I never realized till I got into this very closely about the predictive ability of some of these assessments. So how do you manage progress? And then how do you pivot if something's not working? That's when you get more information. Now your son's getting married. Now you know you got to save money for that wedding, you know? So you get more data and you say, okay, that didn't work, or now I got some new information. We just had a bunch of families move in because something happened with the fort. Or we had a bunch of families leave because something happened. So you're always constantly evaluating where you are. And that's what we can help you do, and we'll help you do. Next slide. So this is what I mean by strategic thinking. It's a rolling period. Every quarter you get new information. 1882 worked for this school, but now how are we going to make this work long term? Or it didn't work. How are we going to hold them accountable? And can we control our own destiny? You'll get information and you'll make mistakes. I made mistakes at full speed. But you know why the board kept me? Because I fixed my own mistakes. If you don't fix your mistakes, that's worse. And not admitting that you made mistakes. So that's what we're going to help you with. So let me take this information back with Ben, with the things that he did with you for those 2 days. Luckily, Andrew's not going to have to come in here and cut your budgets and lay people off, because that's what we're doing in other places. But let us go back and massage it, and let's talk to your staff, your superintendent, about measures of success, and then we'll bring them back to you. And that's how, let me tell you this, we figured this out in Dallas by accident. I'm going to prove to you there's no such thing as strategic planning. So I come back to Dallas, and I didn't really realize this until I wrote my book. In Dallas, our top quarter was great. Those were kids in advanced placement, international baccalaureate, and magnet schools. They're going to be great in spite of us. My boys went to Harvard and Princeton because they were in AP, and my wife was reading to them before they were born. That's Dallas. We have 94% economically disadvantaged, 58% English learner, and we have generational poverty. I mean, this is poverty in the hood. This is not, and we never apologize for our demographics. But what we figured out, and by the way, I'm embarrassed to tell you that when I was superintendent in Dallas in '09, only 7% of our students had any kind of post-secondary credential 6 years after high school. But when I left in '22, 12% of our kids had an associate's degree for free 6 years before the 6-year clock starts. That was Pathways in Technology, P-TECH. The only complaint we got about magnet schools and P-TECH was from the rest of the kids. They said, I didn't get in P-TECH or magnet schools. So we created 4 $30 million facilities called Career Institutes, where students are learning cybersecurity, mechatronics, aviation, dual language, HVAC, getting industry-based certifications on their iPhone. Green light. So now they didn't have to go look for the degrees and transcripts and certifications. So we figured that out, but it was in no plan. One of my board members, when we got complaints from these kids that they didn't get into these other programs, we had to come up with a solution for it. And since this is where your focus is on the academic program, don't worry about every little detail on the scorecard. Someone's going to take care of that. What you need to do with your superintendent and your team and with support is, what can we put together quickly? And where can we, and you need some instant wins too. You need some low-hanging fruit. But also you need a comprehensive long-term plan. I'm so happy that I left Dallas 4 years ago, and they're still doing great because we set up, good things happen by design, not by accident. And this is something that's in your control. So we're about to shut it down, turn it back to the president. But one more time, someone around you. What I like about this is, and what I'm wondering about this is, all right, before we turn it back to the president and adjourn, any likes or wonderings, including staff, that you want to ask about next steps or anything, any clarity? We'll be bringing some stuff back to the superintendent. But anybody have any questions, comments, concerns right now about our strategic priorities? Yes.
I really like that we were all similar on the same page. One big happy family on Kindness Day.
Do you know how unusual that is? And there are some things that I've done this like 6 times in the last 4 months, that particular activity. And they're so different, but there's a lot of alignment here. So that's great. Any other? Yes, sir.
Our question was for Ms. Adams on the students in the middle. Are we talking middle schools or our middle of our bell curve in performance, but moving them as well so they're not the forgotten students? Because it makes a big difference in how we approach it.
Middle school students, that's what I interpreted too. It is a unique time for students. And, traditional responses. So in Dallas, we did everything, and some of it worked. Like, we ended up going with K-8 models at some schools. Because if you got into a great school at pre-K, you were there for 10 years. You weren't going to leave. But that wasn't a solution for everybody. We ended up having to re-engineer our middle school concepts completely. So it is about the middle schools. And obviously, that's what you're facing right now. That's why you're asking all those tough questions. Any other? Yes, sir.
I'll just say as an observer, when I first came into this position, I think that there would have been some different things written in there last summer about discipline, and I think that the steps that the board and the administration took to handle that, and they're now focused on performance and budget, which is normal.
Yeah, absolutely. And just think about it. if a kid is engaged, they're not going to act up. But if they're bored or they're not challenged or they're being made fun of, they're going to act out. Especially, certain kids are just tough. I mean, they know how to survive. And so engagement is going to be a key. Great observation. Any other observations before I turn it back to you, Mr. President? Yes, ma'am.
Wondering, you asked about what we're wondering. I'm wondering how the top three things that we focused and narrowed our sights on, how it is going to be married to the system scorecard. And how do we keep our focus? My wondering is, if these are the main things in 18 months, these are the things we should be talking about more than the details and the small, not that they're not important, but if this is where we're going to measure success, then we have to kind of figure, what do we do with the scorecard?
You got to give up some things. I used to ask my senior staff every quarter. No, 1 quarter a year. I asked them 5 questions. Question number 3 was, what relationships have you built? But one question was, what have you abandoned? And educators can never answer that question. You know why? Because we don't give up anything. And we take this, and we add this, and then we add this, and we fund it, and then we wonder why we're so tired. Well, quit doing things that don't work. And to answer your question about the scorecard, don't get lost in the details. Focus on the big stuff, on the big rocks. If you take care of the big rocks, the scorecard will be taken care of eventually. But if you move the needle on these things that you have identified, you'll gain momentum. It's the flywheel effect. So don't major in the minors. Let somebody else worry about that. You keep asking questions about these 3 big rocks. And I think action will start happening.
Well, it's good to know that our scorecard is embedded with at least probably all 3 of these.
Yep.
And we just have to
Yep.
pick the little.
Yeah, because your
moments
teachers
out
are
of it.
mentioning your scorecard and, student achievement. But focus, focus, focus. If everything is important, nothing's important. If you take care of these 3 things, you're going to look back and say, wow. A lot of other things will come along with it. You won't be having a conversation next year about another 1882 partner. Especially if you fix Tier 1 instruction and you get good quality delivery of instruction, you won't be dealing with the ankle biters. You'll be thinking about, what are our kids complaining about now that they didn't get this good stuff? That's what you'll be thinking about. So anyway, Mr. President, thank you for indulging, and I'm going to turn it back over to you and get out of your hair.
Dr. Hinojosa, I just want to say I appreciate you. I'm sure all the trustees do, but I think the key thing is that in less than 60 minutes, give or take, you put on a clinic of how you can move with urgency and get a consensus, because I think that's going to be important for this group moving forward. Not that it has to be workshop. You came in here on the back end of a meeting and said, you can see where you need to go in that quickly, and so I think that's important, and so I appreciate you for that. Okay, well now, we'll move to item number 8, which is discussion of future board meeting agendas and trustee remarks. And we're going to start on the left end today, if that's okay with Trustee Gilchrist. Mr. Rainwater.
I wish that when we did this thing, I would have put abandon on there. And, once Dr. Hinojosa kind of talked about whatever we're doing, and I think that's so important. I just regret not bringing that to the forefront. Because it would impact the student performance, teacher performance, because there's just so much out there on their plate. That's all.
Madam Secretary. Trustee Mintz? Trustee Capito, you're good? Mr. Superintendent?
I'm good, thank you.
I'm good as well. Okay, we'll now go back to agenda item number 2, closed session. We're going to go into closed session under Texas Government Code 551.071, 551.076, 551.072, and 551.074, and last but not least, 551.0821. No voting will take place in closed session. Any action the board wishes to take as a result of discussions in closed session will take place after the board reconvenes in the open meeting. The time is now 8:38 PM, and we're in closed session, and we'll go to the superintendent's conference room. The time is now 9:26 PM, and we are reconvening from closed session. No action or voting took place in closed session. Next item is agenda item 9. Madam Secretary.
I move to adjourn,
We
sir.
have a motion to adjourn by Madam Secretary. We have a second by Madam Capito. Any further discussion by trustees? There being none, all those in favor, show of hands. We have 6 in favor, none in opposition, 1 absent and not participating, and Vice President Susan Jones. The Board of Trustees is adjourned at 9:26 PM on Tuesday, February 17th. Thank you.